My name's Lakota George Estes. I'm an enrolled member of this tribe for 67 years, and I'm proud of where I came from and where I'm going.
What first sparked your interest for making flutes?
My grandfather, both grandparents were flute makers, Reuben Estes as well as Henry Goodface. But I didn't know my grandparents made flutes when I was 7 years old. He came to me and he said, "I want you to make a flute." But he gave me a hard piece of wood. It took me, 3 months to make the flute. Didn't play, but it looked like a flute. And I finished it, and then he gave me a piece of cedar. Then I made a flute out of look like a bird. But I loved living with my grandparents, because when I was 6 years old, they took me to a lot of ceremonies. I seen a lot of things that are happening now that came true, you know. And one of the things that really got me was when I was about 8, 9 years old, I woke up in a log house and people were crying. So how come they're crying, you know? And the family that came in lost their loved one, drowning in an accident. That was back in 1959 or something like that. But Grandpa didn't do nothing. He just said nothing. He made me crawl under the piece of bed and grab one of his flutes. And the flute was all dusty and dirty and everything. I cleaned it off, I gave it to him. And he started playing a song for the people. Nothing was said. Just people giving coffee and feeding the people. All he did is play the flutes. About an hour straight, and they left. And that stuck with me for a long time. Why did he do that? What made him do that? I think what he's doing is he's helping them mourn the loss of a loved one. Helping them through their grief, their anger, their confusion. And that really stuck with me all my life. And a lot of people would come here before they flooded us out. They would come for medicines along the Missouri River. And every morning, 3 or 4 in the morning, my grandparents would get up and go gather medicine. And one morning I got up and I said, "Grandma, Unchi, could I go with you guys?" "Yeah, come on." So I got in the wagon. I went to sleep, and about 5 o'clock in the morning, I was in a wagon by myself. And I got scared, really scared, because it was dark, and all of a sudden I hear my grandma coming. She jumped in a wagon. And all of a sudden my grandpa came. He sat in the wagon. I looked up at Grandpa and I said, "Grandpa," I said, I'm scared. I'm fearful." And Grandpa looked at me and he says, "Why are you fearful?" "Because of the spirits." "No, you don't be fearful." He says, "The spirits have more important things to deal with than you." And after that, I never was scared. Fear was not in me after that. So the next morning, about 5 in the morning, I got up by myself and walked into the forest by myself. I think I was like 9, 10 years old. And the smell of the earth, the birds, the trees, you can smell the trees, the cottonwood trees, the black walnut, the aspen, the cherry, the cedar, you can smell it, just really keen. So that's how I grew up, living around taking care of my family, my elders, learning Then when I was growing up, they said I was old when I was young, because I went to a lot of ceremonies with the elders. And I still feel young. I'm 67 years old. I still can make flutes and do a lot of stuff that a lot of people can never do. We used to live on hand-me-downs. An older brother would have shoes and give it to me, so I'd wear them. Shirts, jackets, anything was always hand-me-down. It didn't bother us, you know.
What ceremonial medicines can we find throughout our community growing wild that you know of?
Sage, sweetgrass, that I know so far, but most of the stuff that we got a long time ago is all flooded out now by the Missouri River. So we have to get our traditional flowers and plants back. You know.
Can you maybe tell us what traditional ceremony you first attended and how the experience was for you?
I think I was only 6 years old. I went to sweat ceremony. And it was hot. I tell you, I thought I was going to crawl out of my skin. But as I got older, I learned to tolerate that. But going to ceremony in a sweat was just like being reborn. And as you go into ceremonies, for me personally, when I go on there, I felt like I'm spinning around like this, all curled up, spinning. And as I got older, the medicine became stronger and I became like a CD disc flying in the air. And as you get older, it changes to where no place and time, there's no such thing as time or space, but you're there, you're getting things done. Because a lot of times I had a lot of anger and frustration, and that really helped me out dealing with the anger and frustration, you know. Because you can't solve everybody's problems, you can't solve the world's problem, but you can do what you can to help around your community and yourself. Because you cannot heal unless you heal. When I was doing this, I had to go through a lot of ceremonies, and the old people would call these chanupas. Cha is wood and nupas too. Or they call them the pipes. I'll be playing a flute for somebody and the elder person come up to you, oh, that's beautiful pipes. And I was confused, why would we say pipe? But that's how a flute would be made is, see the colors here? I put two pieces together. Cha is wood and nupa's too, chanupa. And that's how they say for the sacred pipe, is that the stem is the two piece that they put together.
Have you used any of your flutes at Lakota ceremonies?
Yes. When we had a big gathering here about 4 years ago, the pipe carriers brought out their pipes and they were all in a circle. And I think that's the first time the pipes, the chanupas and the flutes were together. And that was very powerful. I could just feel that air in the gymnasium, the convention center. People just felt that energy and the power that was there. And it wasn't me, it was just to the flutes. I'm just a hollow reed carrying these messages on, you know.
Can you maybe show us your favorite piece of artwork that you have here and explain it a little?
Okay, this one is white oak. And the harder the wood is, the more tighter the sound. The softer the wood, the more softer the sound. And I went to ceremony and this was rubbed on it by medicine people. It's pipestone. He said, don't ever rub this off, just let it rub it off itself. So I've been taking this a lot of ceremonies playing for people, you know. That's a low range flute, and these are the high range flute because the smaller the hole, the higher the pitch. Now this one's made out of cherry. Now if you blow this harder, it goes up another octave. So, This here one was made for me by I think a Maya Indian when I was performing at Crazy Horse. He came to me and he says, "I got something for you." So we went out in his car and he had a white, pure white piece of cloth. He opened it up. He said, "This is what I made for you." He said, "I know you make flutes, but I seen you in my dreams," he said, "and I wanted to make this for you. So I came all the way here." He said, "So this is the clay made from the ceremony ground that they prayed on in Aztec. But it's a picture of a fruit bat. People think it's a turtle, well, it's a fruit bat. But it has a very high, strong volume. It amazes me that how this can play this loud. So a lot of people think it's just a little piece of, but it really plays loud. I love it to take it to children or they're having a bad day. I play this for them and they just change from crying to want to play that. So it's fun.
Can you walk us through the process of making a flute?
What I do is I clean out the centers of the flutes here. It's a router bit that's on a machine, and the bit comes out like this. So I run the piece over the router bit, stop, and I have two stops there, and then that becomes the where this is at. And I glue it together. Then I hand sand it, or use a belt sander. You can have 3 fingers or 2 fingers, 3 or 4 fingers here to start your next hole. Then between each hole, you can put your finger between to make the other hole. You can have 6 holes, and these are the tuning holes. And that's how flutes are made. So.
How long does it take to make one flute?
If I really push myself, it takes me about 3 hours. If it's real nice hot out, it dries fast, it takes about 3 hours. But doing people requesting more flutes from different vendors, I spend maybe all day just cutting the piece of wood out, let it dry. The next day glue them all, the next day router them all and put holes in. But since my son Dakota is here, it helps me out a lot and cutting down finishing the flutes and everything. And these are the little bird fetishes that we make.
Who taught you how to originally play the flute? Or did you have to learn on your own?
I taught myself. That's the best way to learn. Learn, go out by yourself, go out in the field or out in the hills, and everybody has their own song. Everybody has their own song, and a lot of times I meet people and they say, "Well, I got a song here. I got a song here," and they grab it. Well, that's a Kevin Locke song. That's not your song. That's somebody else you heard on a CD. That's not your song, So you got to create your own song.
When you do sell them, how much do you use?
These run about $250. These run about $175. These run about $150, and these run about $175. That's during tourist season, but a lot of times around here, I just give them away or donation for some kind of fundraiser or something, But it all works out. My grandpa always says, if you give something, give it with a good heart, Don't expect anything in return. Don't ever do that. If fear comes to you and you're scared, stand up to it. Don't back down. And be like a buffalo and stand against the wind, because that's what we're for. Lakota, that's what we're here as Lakota people, you know.